Before we move into today's session, I want to get some feel for the policy exercise that gave you yesterday. The first one is on TCS. I know you all got the answers to be being looked into later. I just want to get a feel for what do you think that is sort of lacking in that policy. Have any thoughts? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Channel. Without your off and down. Up and down, Muntia. Check one.
Hello? Okay, good. Okay, any thoughts what you thought the policy is lacking, the TCS? No comment? Okay. Sorry?
I think the definition clause was missing in that policy.
Say what?
The terms were not defined in that policy.
Okay, that's a good point, yeah. It's not complete, okay. Somebody who doesn't know much about what this all this about, they have no way of following. Okay, any other thoughts? Which one is not complete? Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Yes, I think it's missing, yeah. What?
Data protections are not clearly defined.
Okay. By the way, we need then that doesn't make sense. Okay, fine. It's all right. Speak loud, I'm sorry.
Data protections are not clearly defined.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
There is no clear statement of policy. Purpose is not clearly defined.
The purpose is not clearly stated.
Information classification is not defined in the policy.
Okay.
Whether it is what is the classification, no information regarding contacts, ratings of the discrepancies from the data. There is no clarity on government responsibilities.
That's a good point. Precisely. Very good point, yeah.
There are no ways for some policies to involved. See whether they are dealing something with some policies or with that is not properly.
Yes.
Overall, clarity is not there.
Okay, good point. Any other thoughts?
Sir, in terms of stakeholders, then 15 years back, possibly a private company like TCS, their stakeholders are, policies are meant for the employees and possibly the external stakeholders, parties which is mentioned.
Right.
I think witnessing what's happening in the last 10 years, I think every such a major company also has an accountability towards the society and larger ecosystem. So if you don't manage your information security properly, like TCS is only managing the Indian Railways reservation system. If they don't protect the data properly, it's going to impact
The other clients or whatever.
Yeah, so some answerability is also there towards the public. So it's only talking about external parties
Yes.
and employees,
Right.
ignoring the rest of the
The clients, yeah. Okay, so any more thoughts before? Yeah, so, okay, my main faults with that thing are the following. If you are going to have a security policy, you should say who is responsible for what. That information is completely lacking. You know, it sort of alludes to various departments will be in charge, but you got to state, you know, what the responsibility for CISO, do you have a CISO, do you have responsibility for, you know, developers, whatever. In other words, who is responsible for what? Who is accountable? In other words, you don't come up with a policy without saying, okay, you know, this person is accountable for making sure this happens. That's just not there. The other one suggested, policy should have some contact points so that somebody has a question they can ask. Tell me, I don't understand what you're talking about. Can you please explain to me? That is not there, okay? So essentially, it looks like they don't want too many people to ask them what's it all about. And defining the roles or who is responsible for what, it's just not there at all, okay? So to me, those are the main things. I mean, you know, any policy, you can always find something else is wrong as well, but I think not defining accountability and people who should be accountable are not defining contact information. That's what's lacking. And remember, TCS, the major software service company. I mean, they have a lot of clients. And a software company should be, in my view, should have a better information security policy. Okay, the other one, of course, you will get feedback, you know, exactly, you know, what your policy, how your policy can be improved, okay? Okay, now let's go to today's topic. Okay, any more question on this?
So what is an exemption clause? There is an exemption clause in the security policy, in some policies. What exactly is the exception clause?
Exception, who don't have to follow the security policy?
Yes. So what exactly we have to write in that?
Oh, okay, that's a good point. For example, you might want to say, you know, it is not applicable, this policy only written for users and employees. It is not written for our suppliers. So you could clearly say, look, you know, we will have separate policy for our suppliers. We'll have separate policy. This policy basically pertains to only this block of people. So that's what you should say, okay. Any other question? So again, we gave you the exercise so that you think through, not necessarily we were expecting a perfect answer. The first exercise basically makes you examine, you know, how good a particular policy is. The second exercise is, of course, make you think through what you need to put in a policy, okay? So I'm not expecting a perfect answer, okay, but it's again exercise to think through what needs to go into policy. Okay, so let's just, this is the resources for the previous session. So today, the focus is going to be introduction to privacy, okay? Or sorry, the whole day is going to be on privacy. We're going to have 3 different talks, or at least 2 talks and 1 tutorial. First, I'm going to talk about what exactly is privacy and how is privacy is related to security. Then Prakash is going to be talking about the legal aspects, especially Indian legal aspects of privacy, okay? And then I'm going to come back and talk to you about how to write a privacy policy. That's the tutorial, okay? So at the end of today, you should have a good idea about what constitutes privacy and why is it important, why is it always grouped with the security, and of course, how to write a privacy policy for your enterprise, okay? So that's what we're going to do. All right, let's do, so that's what for this session, our focus is going to be learning what exactly is privacy, why is it a growing concern, and understand a related term or a concept called the PII, personally identifiable information. This is very important. If you look at any privacy law, it will talk about PII, okay? And then we will examine what are the principles behind privacy laws. In other words, regardless of which country it is, there got to be some uniformity in what, what should the privacy law should address or be concerned with. And of course, we are going to talk about the relationship between privacy and security, why always cybersecurity people have been interested with that privacy concerns are addressed. Okay, so that will be the purpose of this session. Okay, privacy, first of all, it didn't happen, or privacy concern, it's not very new. It has been going on for a while. Okay, it started in the late 19th century when cameras became very popular. Essentially, portable cameras in the 1890s, and people were taking pictures, and a lot of private occasions were shared by tabloid or whoever you can think of, and that is why it started. So first, America asked, is there anything called privacy? Should there be a part of law of privacy? And as you probably know, there's a judge called Brandeis, who basically says people have the right to have privacy, and the Constitution in the US indirectly guarantees it. Same thing happened here. The Krishna Commission, it basically says Indians do have the right to privacy, okay? So there's another similar thing. It may not have explicitly stated in the Constitution, but it was always implied, and in both cases of US as well as India. Okay, and it started becoming a major issue only in the 1970s, mainly because US and mostly Western Europe started digitizing various government records to manage things like pension. In the US it's called Social Security, and also we have Medicare. So people information were collected, they were digitized, and they were processed through mainframes, payroll, whatever, okay? So that is how it started. Essentially, when they start digitizing information, and the government has a lot of power to control that information or collect that information, especially the Medicare medical information, the concern was, what if it gets out of the government? What if private insurance companies get hold of it? That type of stuff. Okay. With the growth of internet and mobile network, personal data is now collected and exchanged at an alarming rate. Okay. They talk about things like numbers like more than 400 million terabytes of data every day. When people collect, for example, when you shop in Amazon, they know what your likes are. When you watch Netflix, they know what your likes are. This is in addition to a lot of private information being exchanged in various transactions. And even when you watch TV, there was a company in the US
which was basically trying to find out what type of movies you watch, okay, and then they can target the advertisement on you. And similarly, with a lot of increasing sophistication of home equipment like washing machine, they're all now connected to the internet. They can find out what time you're washing, what time you're going to bed. You know, all types of information they can collect. And if you're a guy who always goes to sleep at 2 o'clock, they can pass that information to insurance company, say this guy has a lot of bad habits, for example, okay? So those are the kind of worries now is happening. The amount of data being transferred is, it's just mind-boggling. Anywhere from email. See, for example, Google used to watch your email. They will say, we don't store your email, but on the other hand, they will give you suggestion. If you have anything like insurance in your email, it will display various insurance companies, for example, okay? So essentially, there's just too much information you yourself either voluntarily or involuntarily providing. And whenever you search for something, for example, if you search for a disease, it's quite possible people might know, okay, you are worried about that disease. Okay, so anyway, so that's what is happening, and we are contributing to enormous amount of our footprint on the internet. Okay, so this figure is constantly growing as more people and businesses use the internet for everyday purposes. That is why privacy is a major issue. Every time you do anything online, you are involuntarily or voluntarily giving more information. And that information, when it is collected and tied together, you give one company one, you give some other, they're tied together. You know, essentially you're revealing yourself more about you than you probably ever imagined. Okay, so that is why it's becoming a concern. As you possibly know, India in August 2003 did pass a privacy law, which will be talked about later on. Okay, now the question is, what exactly is privacy? Okay, we all talk about the word privacy, but what exactly is it? Okay, it varies from person to person. Okay, for some it is the health data. They don't want the health data to know everybody. Okay, because they're very afraid, and they don't want to even their close relatives to know. And for some others, it's the financial data. Okay, essentially, I don't want to know how much money I have or I don't have. Okay, especially I don't want my cousin to know how much money I have. Okay, and yet for others, it's the data about the romantic life. Okay, especially you don't want one romantic partner to know about your thing about another romantic partner, for example. Okay, so it varies from person to person. There is no such thing as this is more important than others. It all depends on where you come from. Okay, for many of us, it's our contact information. The reason is we don't want a crank call at middle of the night selling us or hassling us. Okay, and we don't want somebody to stalk us. Okay, so you should be able to say my address should only be known to certain people. But then, if every company asks you online what your address is, if even one employee gives that information to, in the dark net, okay, and sells it, essentially they may be coming to your house, robbing you, and they will watch you for a while. For example, they could rob you. Okay, so those are the information. That is why, contact information is very important for some, for most, but not all. Okay, so basically, in India, the original thing, the Krishna Commission basically says a good working concept is each person should be able to determine what information about themselves they're willing to share. Essentially, you decide what is important to you, what you are willing to share, what you are not willing to share. And then the state has the responsibility to meet that need. So this is a very nice definition. It doesn't tell you what should be private information, but you decide what you are willing to share, what you are not willing to share. what we are willing to share with who also, okay? So, and then the state has the obligation to fulfill your wish. And this is a very nice definition. It's a good working definition and gives the power to the people, and each one of us decide what is important to us, what you're willing to share, okay? So that is that's the concept you should follow, you should accept as the definition of privacy. Okay, there is a related term which is often used in various laws on privacy, which is called personally identifiable information. Okay. Okay. So what is it? The PIA refers to any data that can be used to identify a specific individual. Okay. It could be your name. Of course, many people may share the name with something else. Usually, they can tell you to say date of birth. In the US, all the healthcare records, the index is based on your date of birth. If you go to doctor's office, first thing they will ask you on your phone, what's your date of birth? Using that, they will know who you are, okay? And address, Aadhaar number, PAN card number, passport number, voter ID, and of course biometric information such as the fingerprint or all those things is very unique. If somebody if anybody, any of these, not necessarily just one, but even 2 or 3 could pinpoint, could identify you exactly as you. So that is the reason why it is important, that concept of PIA is important. Yeah, and essentially any data that could potentially link the data to a person's identity, okay? Now, what if somebody comes to know if you're the PII data? Then they can lead to impersonation, financial fraud. Somebody can call your bank and apply for a credit card on your name, but then they spend the money, charge the credit card using the information that you have, because the bank will say, okay, this person has a good credit history, I'm going to give them this person a credit card, and then they will charge it up to 10,000 rupees, and then they'll discard it, by which time the bill will come to you. You'll wonder, I never asked for this. Okay, impersonation, get to other sensitive data. They can call up your doctor's office, oh, please send me the latest blood test. Okay, and then they can sell that information to some other insurance company or a potential employer, so you don't, and you have a problem getting on the job. Financial fraud, stalking, harassment, insurance denial, and so on and so forth. The moment people get your information, they can misuse it. In fact, they are interested in this information mostly to misuse. Okay, so that is why PII is very important. Okay, now, okay, so why cybersecurity people are interested in privacy, or why privacy is always grouped with cybersecurity? Very simple. The role of, once something identified as a private information, that private information have to be protected, that the data has to be protected. What does that mean? That means only the right people should be able to see that information. Only the right people should be able to modify that information. Okay, and only the right people should be able to delete that information. Okay, so that means usually it requires authentication and access control. Okay, so in order to give somebody the right to see, they must be authenticated as the person who claims they to be. Okay, and authentication and access control. Now, what happens is access control is basically, we have several models in cybersecurity, like role-based access control, rule-based access control, and so on. And authentication is usually done using cryptography, like your password. Password is stored as a hash, and then when you send your password, the hash of the password is sent. If they match, you log in, otherwise you don't. And then when the information is at rest, so nobody can modify it, that's the integrity. Nobody can even read it, that's the encryption cryptography. So all the technology that we use in cybersecurity to protect other data is also applicable to protecting personal information, okay? So that is why, the personal information is, privacy is sort of a lumped with cybersecurity. But still there's a difference. What information is private is not the purview of security. That is only you and the privacy laws can decide. But once a piece of data is identified as personal, cybersecurity technologies and processes are used to protect the data. So cybersecurity is not concerned about defining what is privacy, what is private data. But once you identify as something as very private to you, then all the cybersecurity technology and processes play a role. Okay, so that is why cybersecurity and privacy are sort of lumped together. Okay. Okay. Now, moving on. Later on, the next session is going to be on privacy laws. But all the privacy laws are many nations, developed their laws based on this fundamental privacy principle. And originally it started in 1973, what's called Fair Information Privacy Principle, that have the origin in the US in protecting the medical information I was talking to you about when they first started digitizing. Okay. The principles are as follows. Transparency. When you, as a company, collect somebody's information, you have to tell the customer or the user that you are collecting this information. And individual participation. You should give them a choice whether or not to let them, whether or not you can have that information. Now, the company can, if you don't give that information, company may say, no, we cannot provide you that service. But at least they should give you an option, whether you want to provide that information. They can say, look, if you don't provide the information, this will not continue the session. That's fine, but they should give you an option so that, sometimes it's so private to you, you don't want to share it just to get some service, okay? And purpose specification. Whatever data they collect, they have to tell why they are collecting the data. For example, if they are collecting data, on your health, they should be asking you what your, past girlfriend telephone number is. It's irrelevant. Okay, so they have to ask only the question that is relevant to that collection. Okay. Often people seek information trying to get you to do things or get information that is not relevant because they could use that information for some other purposes. Data minimization. It's sort of related to purpose. Okay, essentially, get only the data that you minimally need to do the job. Okay. For example, if you apply for credit, you should be mostly concerned with your financial information, not your health information. Okay. Of course, they might argue, I want to know whether you're going to die 3 months from now, so I can deny you credit, but that's usually irrelevant. Okay. So they got to ask only the question that's intended to give you that specific service or product. Okay. And they should use limitation. And essentially, they should use it only for that purpose, not sell it to the secondary market. And of course, they have to tell you, they have to make sure that they keep the quality of the data. See, often what happens when you go to doctor's office, you give some information. It goes through 3 different types of secretaries or clerks. Each person makes a mistake. For example, my name might start with Dasarathy first, and then one A must be misspelled as E. And next time, another A must be spelled another O. Okay? So towards the end, I don't know if it's even me. Okay? And that happens often when several times the information is transferred one system to the other. By the way, one of the big advantage of a lot of data automation is usually these types of errors are minimized, so data quality is better. And then of course security. They have to tell you in advance how they are planning to protect your data. Okay, and then accountability and auditing. Essentially, there should be a person that the name, that is accountable for these things. So you can go after them if they infringe on your privacy right, okay, by bad data keeping. Okay, so what you will see here, these things the laws should cover all this part. Okay, and then it is a good privacy law. Okay, now for this session I have given you all the resources, and this is sort of one of the newer ones which started the new privacy discussion in India, and this one, essentially is a prelude to the European Union's GDPR. GDPR is one of the most respected privacy policy by the European Union, but this actually started in the 1970s. Okay, so these are resources. Take a look at it when you get a chance. Hopefully that will shed you more light on why privacy and the evolution of privacy concerns. Okay, so that is for this part. Okay, I'll come back later in the afternoon to discuss how to write a privacy policy. Right now the time is 10:32. I'm a little bit ahead of the schedule. I'll be happy to take some questions. Otherwise, I will turn it over to the next speaker, or perhaps you can take an early break for tea or whatever. Okay, any question? Okay, Dr. Janet, I'm a little bit ahead of the time, so let me.
Sir, you have sent us an online privacy policy mail.
Sorry?
You have sent us an online privacy policy a mail. Shall I share it with the?
Yes, I would like to share with you.
I will send the trust policy statement guidance to the WhatsApp group. Please open that.
So I finished a little bit early, so what do you want to do? I'm sort of done.
Start after to work on this.
And that they have to read for the tutorial though.
I will talk with them about gender privacy.
Huh?
Shall I fill up another 20 minutes?
Yeah, please.
As the file is a bit big, you will have a little, it will take a little bit more time in order to work. I want you to check your, take your mobile phones and check your own
Do you need this?
status. The first topic was privacy and its relevance to cybersecurity. And privacy is about how much of your information others know. I just want you to. I'm sorry. I just want you to check how much of privacy aware you are, which I normally give to my students in class. Can you take your mobile phones and go to the privacy settings of your mobile? In your mobile phone, you can open the settings and you have a privacy setting there. Privacy and security. Yes? Huh. How many of you have your location services on? One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, if you have it on, then you are 1 point down in your privacy, because all the apps on your mobile phone will be able to know where exactly you are, and they would be able to track you. Okay, and then you have the camera. Okay, various applications in your mobile phones. Apps installed in your mobile phones, and look at the permissions that you have given to them. What are the applications that have access to your camera? In different mobiles you will have different ways to go to it. And can you tell me how many applications you have enabled access to the camera? The number of apps? 2 apps. 4, okay. 3, 0, good. 18, okay. Students normally have it, 18, 20, 25, 100 apps will have access to your camera, okay. Contacts? 11, 3, okay. You see, we don't normally look at who is using what information, but when it comes to this privacy and you having your own privacy policy, it's important that you restrict the number of apps that access your own private information. What is private information? It's not just our name, our roll number, our address, Aadhaar number and all the other stuff. It is also the information we exchange during our chats, the data that we show others, or the data that it will be able to get from us. We don't call it data, we call it metadata. Okay? And if we keep our location on, they would be able to track the locations that we are in, because there are a lot of tracking apps. And if we keep our contacts shareable, visible for all the people who are present, then they will be able to use the contacts in order to gain some information about us. So it's very important that we restrict, and there is a setting that says use only when the app is being used, okay, and ask when you request for this service. So if you can enable both, it would improve the privacy of an individual, okay. Privacy is very important, not just when we are giving out information, writing something and signing it, but it is also the unknown information that we generally share, okay, or information that we are not very worried about. As a student, you are not worried about your data going outside, you are not worried about who sees your data, you have very few thousands of rupees in your bank account, but this digital footprints that you leave on the cyber present, and it will haunt you later on when you become a president of a company or you become the Prime Minister of India, and all the digital footprints that we leave will have a major implication in how it is being used. So even on social media, all of us have a social media presence. We have a LinkedIn account, Instagram account. It may feel very intrusive when you think that I should not restrict myself, I should have so many followers, but it's important that you know who is following you and what comments they are doing on you and how is your information being used on the internet, and whether it is being exploited by some marketing company or not, and that will infringe on your privacy. You may not feel that it is your privacy initially, but over a period of time you would have heard about trolling, about people trying to cyber bully. All these problems occur because of lack of knowledge about privacy of the individual. Okay, and many companies have started setting up laws now that would prevent small children from handling the social media. And one other thing that happens is, unknown to you, when you are installing an application, it asks for all the access information. So it's very important to know what apps you have installed in your mobile phone, because on a laptop we have security, we have an antivirus, and we depend on the antivirus to do that for us. But on a mobile phone, we depend on the OS in order to provide with the security, and these permissions are actually given by us. It's a give and take policy that the app developers use. They give you some information, and then in return for that they take away your own private information from you. Okay, so if you go back to WhatsApp will have a privacy setting in it. You will have privacy for WhatsApp, where who will see your status, what are the groups that you can, who can add you to a group, and who can see your profile photo, who can see whether you are online or offline, and we can set everyone. Okay, and another issue that normally we face is, whoever comes as a new contact, we immediately add them inside our mobile phones. Think before you add a number into your contact list, because companies automatically gain list of contacts from the apps that are connected with them, and they try to harvest the set of people interconnected. And if one app gets compromised in your mobile, all your contacts will also be compromised. And if some contact is compromised, then if you are their contact, then your mobile also has a chance of being hacked into. So it's very important that you set these options and think about it logically. Okay, it would be a little bit inconvenient to you, but you will have to, we call it a delicate balance between utility and security. Okay, when you want to save your password, it is a high utility, but it's very low security. So you will have to enter your password every time you go in, change your passwords so that your system is secure, and have a delicate balance between utility and security. If you have a mobile wallet, then you should be able to log in each time in order to make transactions in them. And also the Wi-Fi connection that you are using will have to be secure. If it is not secure, or if it is an open Wi-Fi network, then you will be able to easily hack into people's network. So if you want to get an idea about it, you can install a software called Wireshark. Have you heard about it? Wireshark is a software that is freely available. You can download that, install it on your system, and if you just start Wireshark and let it capture the packets over Wi-Fi, you will be able to see the username and password in plain text. With a little bit of tweak, you have those programs available online. You will be able to easily hack into a network or look at the transactions that are sent. Two softwares are available. One you call it Burp Suite and the other is Wireshark. Wireshark is entirely free. Burp Suite has a professional and student version in it. You can use them in order to see how much is hackable, and if you are, as students, if you are interested in learning more about security, Wireshark is a must in order to know how you can hack into systems and how you can monitor the traffic that goes around you. We think that there is nothing around us, but when you open your Wireshark and you start capturing packets, you will have list of packets being captured in them, okay? And using those packets, if you use a few lines of code or if you use a few filters, you will be able to easily find out what packet is it, and using a few algorithms or tools, you will be able to crack into them, okay? So that goes into the cyber security domain. Since the vulnerability is there, we have to be very careful, because we normally are careful with our laptops. We don't connect it to the internet, we don't connect it to the Wi-Fi 24/7, but with our mobile phones, we just leave it as such. And whatever we are doing with the laptops, we have started doing with our mobile phones. You know, you have a document, you verify that, you sign it, you send across signed documents. And as we move on to the mobile devices, the security on the mobile device has to be considered, because your privacy, you will have to take control. That was what sir was talking about. It's your choice, and you will have to control who will look at what kind of information about yourself. Certain information will be there in the public domain. You don't have to worry about leaking out those information, but even then it goes into the hands of the wrong person at the wrong time, okay? Or if a person gets hold of some information that they are not supposed to get hold of, then you will be in trouble. And it's very easy, you know, there are simple exercises online, and you can use them in order to find out how easily your mobile phones can be tracked and information can be tapped into. We don't need a Pegasus software in order to track your mobile phones. A simple Wireshark with Wi-Fi connectivity would do in order to hack into systems, okay? So privacy is a constraint that we do for ourselves, and the next tutorial that we are going to do is developing and accessing a privacy policy. Why I tell you this is, in the US or the other countries, privacy is taken a lot of, given a lot of significance. Whereas we in India are community oriented people. So we don't worry about who knows what information, and maybe in a family everyone knows every information available between people. And in a community, you know, households live together and we share information. When there is a common meeting, we all come together and we just share information about ourselves, okay? But whereas in the US or other countries, their privacy laws are very strict. You know, the parents will have to knock when they enter into the rooms of the children. Whereas in our case, we don't even have a room for children, no? We'll say every room belongs to everyone. This is the biggest problem that we have, where we have a community culture where we all live together, but there are privacy constraints in them. Can you think of some privacy constraints we have within the Indian cultural system, which you are aware of? You go to a marriage ceremony.
Males and females.
Sitting separately, okay,
South
good.
India, but I belong to Central India and North Indian
So the women will be together and the men will be together. Certain festivals or certain traditions, the women only join together and do, the male only join together and do. Good, okay. Anything else? Because we are a community. You think about a marriage function, we all come together in one big hall and we just talk with each other. And do we have privacy constraints in them? We do a lot. But without our knowing, it has been transferred from our elders. One, yes? Anything that you can think of? We cannot say that we are, privacy law deficient and we don't think about privacy at all. We have our own system of evolving a privacy policy. What happens when a group of elders are talking together? What happens to all the children? All the children play separately, the elders do separately, the youngsters work with separately. And when a child goes to a place where the elders are talking, they say your place is not here, go back to your group and play together. Informal way of creating social networks that will share information relevant to each other. And when the people who organize the event are together, they have their own codes and rules, and everyone is not aware of all the rules. There will be one person who will tell you what exactly has to happen or how the ceremony has to happen, and depending on which country, which state you belong to, depending on which traditions you follow, the marriage ceremony also changes. Okay? And all these are certain constructs that we have, which every individual has a choice in order to make. And we don't have to follow the strict privacy rules that the Western culture follows. That's why we have drafted the data protection bill now that is customized to the Indian context, so that we will be able to share whatever we have according to our own terminology, not according to what policy Google gives me or what policy the Meta gives me or what policy X provides to me. Okay? So they have their own privacy policies which pertain to their own countries, and now our Indian government is also asking them to provide with policies for our country so that it would be more country specific. Okay? Privacy is a point that we have to decide. It cannot be given by someone else. I should have my own privacy laws, and I should have my own policies defined, which you will be doing in the next session. Developing and accessing a privacy policy, we can look at various policies that are available, try to find out what is good in them, and try to incorporate them onto a policy that we have. Okay? And it may not be equivalent to a corporate policy, and for students, your privacy policy would be different. But imagine yourself as a CEO of a company later on, and then try to define your privacy policy so that you will be able to take the right decisions from now on, and it will not haunt you later. Okay? Because your data which you give on the internet cannot be taken back. There will always be a footprint of yourself you leave on the internet every time you use the internet, and we have to be very careful about what we use or how we use. I have shared a trust e-policy statement guidelines PDF in the group. Please download the document and save it in your system.
You need the document when we do this exercise for tutorial, so you can take and read it before you come, that'll be fine. Okay, so we forgot to include you.
Yeah, so we will have this session this afternoon. Hopefully you will take a look at it before we come to the afternoon session. Anyway, that's why we're just giving you. Of course, right now, we won't go into the tutorial. We'll first do the laws. That will be next session, starting at, I think, 11. So the next session is 11:30, privacy law. So are we taking a break from 11 to 11:30?